Like, I'm just done with it. Enough, as far as I'm concerned. Enough.
I can really see his frustration.
And I also have a real problem with the idea of the LGBT community, because it's not a community.
I agree.
Pride is the cardinal Christian sin.
Ugh, not that again. Hi everyone, we are right in the middle of the holy month of Pride.
No! God, please, no! No!
In some places, it's also Men's Health Awareness Month. So, trans women, don't forget to get your prostate checked.
Joke.
Although in Canada, it's Pride season, stretching all the way from June to September. I guess every time they add another letter, then they have to add some more days. So before you know it, we're actually gonna have to extend the year. Speaking as a homosexual, I don't think this is doing us gays any favors. Wherever you look, it's rainbow flags, rainbow streets, rainbow crossings, rainbow buses, rainbow doors,
Rainbow steps.
it's rainbow overload, and I'm so done with it.
I'm so
Over the rainbow!
I'm so done. I used to wear it with pride, but now all that pride is gone.
For various reasons. One, it's so fake, right? All these companies virtue vomiting rainbows only started doing so after most gay rights had been won. And the big multinationals are only doing it where it is safe to do so.
They keep quiet when floats look like this.
And then there's all the crazy, creepy bullshit. Men dressed as puppies with dildos up their arses.
Near naked twerking kids. Nothing to see here. Perfectly normal. Nothing to see here either. Just a woman showing a toddler a man's ass. Yay, pride.
Or the celebration of breast amputation.
I chose to have my breasts removed, so I had an elective double mastectomy. Can I just say how unbelievably proud I am? You have just told that story. If you can't see it, you can't be it.
You can even get yourself the coloring book. What color will you use for the scars? Or get this lovely little book and introduce the kids to fetish gear. And what pride would be complete without some furries?
Like, what the hell? It's gone from gay pride to LGBT plus cringe. And third, pride isn't even safe anymore for lesbians and gays who stand up to defend homosexuality. Isn't that wild? Lesbians get attacked or kicked out, gay men get mobbed, or have to be escorted away for their own safety by the police. And here's how someone like Julie Bindel feels about it.
Imagine if Kathleen Stock and I decided to take a little trip down to the Pride March. We would be absolutely vilified, we would probably be attacked, we'd be surrounded, we'd be heckled, there would be hell to pay.
So, plenty of issues, and it's pissing people off left, right, and center. One man who certainly won't be donning a jockstrap for Pride this year is Jordan Peterson, a man that I often agree with when it comes to the gender madness. Here's what he's got to say about Pride.
You know, we have Pride Month. Well, what are we celebrating?
Good question. Many gays and lesbians have been asking that for quite a while. And in London for nearly 30 years, there's been an alternative sort of anti-Pride event called Gay Shame, or the annual festival of homosexual misery that takes a swipe at the commercialization of Pride. But unfortunately, Gay Shame is completely captured by Gender Woo, which is ironic because they're against commercialization of Pride, but they are happy for Big Pharma to make big bucks out of LGBTQIA2S+ identities.
And isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
The organization behind it also doesn't mind charging cis people double the amount what they would charge trans people for a ticket. Equality. Anyways, back to Jordan.
First of all, how about we don't celebrate Pride?
Well, that would depend on the answer to the first question. What is it that we're celebrating?
Pride's a cardinal sin.
Let's see where he's going with this.
And you might say, well, they don't mean pride. They mean it's a group of oppressed people, and now they're just finding their identity and they're getting some security in that identity.
I wouldn't quite put it that way, but at least he acknowledges that there's more to the word pride than the Christian take on it. But then he goes straight back to it.
It's like The word's pride. That's the word that was chosen.
Well, yeah, but not in the Christian sense. It's not like they sat round a table and went, ooh, what cardinal sin can we name our event after? The word pride was chosen because after the first march in 1970, which was called the Christopher Street Liberation Day, the group behind the march noted the following. And each of these 5,000 homosexuals had a new feeling of pride and self-confidence, for that was one of the main purposes of the event, to commemorate, to demonstrate, but also to raise the consciences of participating homosexuals, to develop courage and feelings of dignity and self-worth. That's what it was about. And most importantly, in response to a history of having been persecuted, criminalized, pathologized, and shamed. So that sense of pride, or rather self-worth, gets completely lost when you reframe the march to center a specific Christian idea.
Pride's a cardinal sin.
I don't see how that's any different from TRA's twisting gay history to center trans. So criticize what pride has become all you want, but maybe without the rhetoric?
And it's pride in relationship, as far as I can tell, to nothing but hedonistic self-gratification.
Okay, so that's like extra bad pride. Pride plus. What I don't like is how he makes it sound like that hedonistic self-gratification was part and parcel of pride from the get-go. To me, that's a real slap in the face of all those brave men and women who got out onto the streets, not just for that first march, but also for the annual reminder pickets that were the predecessor of pride. They showed up to protest against the very real violence, harassment, and discrimination. Not to say, oh, let's have a party, get your cock out, oh, look at me, I'm a dog, woof, woof.
It's like your identity's gonna be your sexual desire?
We really need to stop this identity talk, okay? Homosexuality is a sexual orientation, not an identity.
That's your identity, your sexual desire.
No. Like, for me, being gay is not some kind of achievement. It's not something I studied for. It's not like, I worked hard and unlocked the gayness. It's just part of who I am. And something that I'm no longer ashamed of, okay? Now, that took a bit of work, but no, it's not my identity.
And what is happening is we are telling a new generation of people, we're saying, this will define your life, and it shouldn't. It is the beginning of your life, not in any way the be-all and end-all of it.
And I have to say, I think Jordan is being a little bit of a dick here, the way he uses the word desire.
That's your identity, your sexual desire.
He's not using the word sexual orientation, which is about love, romance, having fulfilling relationships and all that, just like heterosexuality. No! He has to reduce it to desire, lust. Why? Because, like pride, it's a sin.
So that means you've reduced your identity to the most immature and hedonistic part of you. The part that would exploit someone else for your own gratification, for example. The part that would exploit you for your own gratification. And now that's your identity. And now that's what we celebrate. Yeah, no, that's a very bad idea.
I am not denying at all that hedonism has become quite a significant part of pride over the years, especially after, the big rights that we were campaigning for had been won. And I think the exploitation angle is very interesting because who is really winning here? The corporations? The politicians? Are they just using us? Are we using them? Is this man here in control of himself, or are his urges getting the better of him?
Is this woman here exploiting this child? Go on, wave at the man, and look how happy it makes him. This is normal.
I'm happy to look at these things, and I think it's very important that we do. But what I take issue with is how Jordan keeps pushing this it's a sin idea. As if that's been the be-all and end-all of gay pride since the very beginning. It's like he's creating some kind of original sin story for us. Like Adam and Eve ate the apple, boom, the fall of man. The gays picked the word pride, boom, the fall of the gays. The reason pride is such a mess today is not because the gays picked the wrong word back in 1970. I mean, come on. He also repeats it in an interview with Fox News, and listen to how he says, sin.
That was the name that was chosen, and that's the name that stuck, and pride is a cardinal sin.
Sin! I'm sorry. That makes me laugh every time I hear it.
It's
sin.
But at least in this interview he shows a bit more nuance and acknowledges how the current pride madness actually negatively affects the gays.
And I also have a real problem with the idea of the LGBT plus, etc. community, because it's not a community.
I agree, and I've pointed this out in videos before myself.
It's especially not a community right now because the trans pushing, gender affirming butchers and liars primarily target young people whose most likely outcome on the sexual front is homosexuality.
Thank you.
So the trans gender affirming butchers and liars are differentially destroying the youthful gay community.
Okay, I'm not a Christian, but if I was, this is where I'd say,
Can I get an amen? Amen. I read recently, like this week, that support for gay marriage is plummeting. Right, it's like, well, keep pushing. You're going to lose everything you've gained. And I'm not celebrating that at all. That's not the point at all.
And that's why it's so important for us lesbians, gays, and bisexuals to go, hey, hello, there are some adults left in the room here, you know, we're not all down with this bullshit. And it pisses me off so much how the gays keep getting the blame for all this gender crap, as if it all started with gay marriage. It didn't. It started with the trans movement back in the 50s and the 60s. And they got the right to change their legal sex long before the gays got the right to get married. Sometimes decades before the gays could get married. But never mind that, gay marriage was the start of the slippery slope.
When what's really happening is this.
Anyways, Jordan does recognize that pride hasn't been all bad or completely useless.
The pride movement has torn down a lot of fences. And maybe some of those fences needed to go, but all of them didn't need to go. And there's plenty of monsters coming out to play now.
Yeah.
And I would say that's especially true on the transgender affirming side. And that's why we're seeing this butchery in the medical community, abetted by idiot allies and driven by greed.
And the irony of a hospital flying the very flag that celebrates this medical scandal.
So there's a lot of house cleaning to do on the pride side of things.
Yeah, and not just pride, but everything that's happening under the guise of LGBTQIANBP2S whatever plus. And I can really see his frustration.
Like, I'm just done with it. I don't like the flag. I think it's a piece of idiocy. I don't understand why it changes every bloody week. I don't know who makes those decisions. Enough. As far as I'm concerned, enough pride in the churches, enough pride in the bloody banks. I don't want to walk into the Bank of Nova Scotia and be celebrating pride. It's like I want to go and put my money in or take my money out without any political idiocy.
Agreed.
And certainly without any celebration of sexuality.
It's gone way beyond sexuality.
I don't know what the hell the banks think they're doing.
Douglas Murray has a good answer for that.
The banks, the major corporations, people who should have been on the line for what they did to the economy and almost completely destroying the world economy, ended up discovering that a much easier way and a cheaper way to improve their image after 2008 was to go very, very big on all the identity politics stuff. The point is, they can't do the basic job they were set up to do, so they do all this crap.
So, all in all, quite a few things that I agree on with Jordan, but I really dislike the way he keeps framing it as inherently sinful from the get-go.
Pride is the cardinal Christian sin.
But I'm worried. Plenty of people are fed up with all this pride stuff. Among them, there will be those who've never been too keen on the gays in the first place. And I'm worried that they're just going to jump on this kind of rhetoric and that will just embolden them to go all out homophobe. It wouldn't be the first time that they've come for the gays because, you know, we're sinners. At least Jordan doesn't say that being gay is a sin in and of itself. He talks about the sin of pride. But there'll be plenty who don't make that distinction at all. And while Jordan acknowledges the difference between the gays and the gender clowns, plenty of people won't because, you know, we've been lumped together by default for years. And the backlash has already begun.
It's one thing trying to avoid some steps, leaving scooter or tire marks, or stomping on a little pride flag, but
we're already seeing flags being taken down, ripped apart, set on fire.
Members of the Beverly Unitarian Church on Longwood Drive made a disturbing discovery.
Shop staff being abused and even killed. And this is just the beginning, I'm afraid. So, what can we do? I mean, pride is such a big beast now. I guess it'll only stop when the funding stops, when companies wake up to how toxic it has all become. So we gotta let them know. I popped into a Wagamama's in Manchester last year where they had a huge Progress Pride flag outside. It was massive. So I went in, spoke to the shift manager, and I said, actually, that flag really puts me off because they don't know this, right? They need to hear about it. And then he kind of went, oh, well, you know, it's head office, so, you know, it's not my decision. And I said, well, can you bring it up in a staff meeting or, you know, ask if anybody else has given you this feedback, blah, 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 blah. That might not go anywhere. So then that means we need to go to head office. And the more of us do that, the more, you know, the sooner they'll understand, ooh, this could be bad for business. Because, you know, that, at the end of the day, that's all they care about. It's the business. The other thing you can do is simply not go to Pride and to call out what you believe is wrong with it, especially as a lesbian, a gay, or a bisexual. So like Dennis Kavanagh did with this article for Spike magazine, and like Kathleen Stock did in this article for The Times, or this young lesbian on YouTube. And not just Pride, but all of the LGBTQI whatever plus madness. Just like the LGBT Alliance has been calling out the harms of puberty blockers for a number of years now, and standing up for single-sex events and spaces for lesbians and for gays, like the Come Out of Stonewall protests,
the Gay Men's Network,
and like Not All Gays Ireland, which is a young, new fledgling gay rights organisation that literally makes the point, not all gays are down with this shit. And maybe it's time to bring back the original spirit of Gay Pride with a new event, something that's more like the annual reminders, you know, those pickets in the States. Those men and women didn't go around in jockstraps and dog muzzles. We could call it Gay Independence Day or LGBT Independence Day to assert our autonomy away from all that alphabet soup crap, to show that sexual orientation is not the same thing as gender identity, and that our rights are not contingent on us signing up to gender woo. In fact, we need to point out how gender woo is eroding our rights. Last week, an organization called Lesbian Fight Back launched a petition on change.org to assert their rights as female homosexuals. Surprise, surprise, change.org has taken it down as they are now reviewing the petition. Just goes to show that you cannot trust these rainbow logos. Let me know in the comments what you think could make a difference. Will it limit the backlash? I doubt it, so we better brace ourselves. But at least we're not selling ourselves down the river or standing by doing nothing, so we can at least hold our heads up high with a sense of pride, if you will.
Pride is the cardinal Christian sin.
No, Jordan, not that kind. Thanks for watching, everyone. Next video will be a song and probably the gayest video I've ever made. Here's a taster.
I beg your pardon, I won't be going down no lady garden.
See you in the next one. Ciao.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my PayPal and Patreon supporters. Because of you, I can make videos like this. Special shout out to my big spenders. Help her open, Mama Turv and the Turventines, me Julie, the lovely Mary, Julia, Dusty, Judels, Leffy, Dorothy, Wildfire, Esther, and Martha. Thank you.
I beg your pardon. I never promised. Oh, that's the original.